Greetings, I am Toglin, Hell's Harlequin, but you may call me Tog. Today, I'm going to be responding to Steve Shives. Ooh, it's my first time. How interesting.
A friend of mine told me something recently. She's a photographer, she owns her own business, and she photographs weddings and graduations and birthday parties, the usual sorts of things that photographers do to earn a living. And she also does art photography.
Art photography? Like artistic nudes? I've drawn a few of those in my day.
And she's had some of her photographs published in small magazines or online journals.
Well, good for her. Getting published is no easy task. So it shows she's able to play with the big boys, right?
Recently, she noticed that a website where some of her photographs had been featured had also published work by this artist who has a reputation in the community for engaging in online harassment and being very outspoken with certain intolerant opinions. I'm sure you can picture the type of person I'm describing.
Not really. 'Cause coming from you, that description could apply to anyone to the right of Chairman Mao.
My friend contacted the publisher of the website with her concerns, and she and the publisher know each other, by the way. They have been acquainted for a few years. They exchange emails from time to time. They keep each other up to date on what each of them is doing professionally. There's not a close friendship there, but there's an established relationship. And the publisher responded, and he and my friend went back and forth about this for a bit. But here's what the publisher's initial reaction was to my friend sharing these concerns with him. He said, "How was I supposed to know about this?"
That's absolutely terrible. You mean he didn't immediately stand up for the freelancer he published, who is being shamed by this lady for his opinions online, which they have absolutely nothing to do with his ability to take a decent photo?
He didn't say, "Thanks for bringing this to my attention, I'm going to take care of this." He didn't even say, "Can you please link me to some examples of this person's problem behavior so I know what we're dealing with and I can respond accordingly?"
Why should any of that even matter? The guy's only crime was having controversial opinions.
Straight to self-defense, self-absolution. I'm innocent. What do you want from me?
So let's get this straight. This man's crime is that he published photographs from a man who committed wrongthing. He didn't personally commit wrongthing himself, yet he's being villainized for trying to defend himself. And your female friend used her connections to harm a fellow photographer's career. And she's the victim in all this.
Last week, another woman I'm acquainted with posted on Facebook about how she had written an email to a guy about something business related and had received no response from him for several days. Then a male colleague of hers emailed the same guy about the same thing and received a response in a matter of hours. In the comments beneath that Facebook post, another guy said to my friend, "Well, maybe the first guy just didn't see your email. And the second guy's email is the one he responded to because that's the one he saw."
I've lost or missed emails before. I think it happens to almost anyone, so that's a pretty reasonable conclusion.
Perfectly reasonable explanation that also just so happens to exonerate the guy who ignored my friend's email of any possible display of sexist bias on his part, however unwittingly. It's all so very innocent.
Why are you being so condescending right now? Are you implying that men don't deserve the common courtesy of being given the benefit of the doubt?
I share these stories with you for 3 reasons. First, if you're someone who has had an experience like the ones had by my 2 friends that I just described, I see you, I believe you, I don't think you're being overly sensitive, I don't think you're expecting too much. It's not your fault.
What are you talking about? Your 2 friends were being way too sensitive. You're talking about them as if somebody broke into their house and killed their cat.
Second, and most especially if you're a man, don't be that guy. Don't be the guy who defaults to defensiveness when someone comes to you with a concern. Don't be the guy who ignores women but is Mr. Reliable when a man needs something. And don't be the guy who apologizes and makes excuses for the shitty behavior of other men when you hear about it.
Having defensiveness as your default is not specifically a male trait. It seems like it's more of a human trait. And yet again, why are you so opposed to men giving other men the benefit of the doubt? Should we assume that they're all monsters?
Third, again, this is mostly for my fellow men, and this is the most difficult one of all for a lot of us. Admit that you have been that guy.
You're an atheist, yet you demand repentance from other men. Interesting.
Maybe not always, maybe not often, maybe only once or twice, though probably a lot more than that. But at some point, you have been that guy, unless you are a truly extraordinary exception to the rule. You have gotten defensive.
Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned.
You have shown favoritism toward men at the expense of women, whether you consciously intended to or not. You have defended the problematic behavior of other men.
Why is it that obvious, blatant, and preferential treatment towards women is preferable to a possible, unconscious bias in favor of men?
I have been that guy. From time to time, despite my best efforts, I still am that guy. I'm not proud of it. I feel bad about it, but what's really important is not that I feel bad about it, but that I use those feelings and my awareness of my shortcomings to motivate me to do better in the future.
So you once were lost, but now am found, was blind, but now you see. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound.
So that I find myself being that guy less and less, and being the kind of guy who responds to those kinds of situations in the right way more often.
Alright, that's enough of that. With Halloween right around the corner, I'm actually planning to start work on a Halloween special. Now, I have two ideas in mind. One would be doing a little bit of research and debunking on some Halloween superstitions. The other idea I had was a few years back, I witnessed something rather unusual. It would be a bit of a first-hand ghost story of sorts. I'm still skeptical about what I saw, but what I saw was rather interesting. So I could tell that story with a little bit of animations and things to sort of illustrate exactly what went on. I really don't have the time to do both, so let me know in the comments which Halloween special you would find preferable. As well as make sure to check out my t-shirt shop and get yourself a fabulous Tog tee, and I wish all of you a pleasant rest of your day.